Welcome to the Warning Track Power Hour. I'm Andrew Gav. He's Mike Werman. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about the Royals in spring training. Eric Bienemy's lateral move, becoming an offensive coordinator in Washington, and some other NFL free agent moves. Mike, the Royals are off to a fast start. Spring training. They're now 4-1.
800 winning
They
percentage.
They scored 12 runs against the division rival Cleveland today. Does that mean anything at all?
Unfortunately, probably not. I guess it's better. It's better than they were 1-4, and it seems like they're
Is it though? I mean, does it matter at all?
well. I think it just at least gives you some optimism. Maybe they're I guess like they're swinging the bats well. Although you could say maybe some of that is Arizona's dry air and things like that. But I think yeah, I think it's not bad news, that's for sure. Whether it's anything more than neutral,
Yeah,
but I'd say it's a slight positive, even though I don't know if it will carry over. But like
right.
it's like the whole team before the World Baseball Classic starts, so maybe it's more indicative, maybe of where they're going to be than even later spring training might be if they're all going to be separate. So I don't know. I'm talking myself into thinking that maybe they can be decent this year, but
Yeah.
I don't really have high expectations, but I just kind of want them to avoid a well under 500 season. I want them to at least sniff 80 wins. It would be nice. What do you think? Is it an omen, harbinger?
I don't think it's much of an omen or a harbinger either. Uh, I think it's a fun, thing to witness, I guess, right now. But I don't think it means anything at all. Like, I think a lot of the runs that have been scored have been late, and at least two of the wins I think came like in the ninth inning on very late run scoring, or one of them was the first game was a walk-off home run from a player I wasn't aware
Yeah,
of
usually
before
those
before
ninth
the
by the ninth inning, it's
uh
not the starters or usually the
even the
even
probable
the
backups. It's maybe like the double A guys, single A, double A guys that are getting
mhm.
a little taste of spring training anyway.
Yeah, I guess, or maybe a relief pitcher for the other team might be involved. That's like a closer or something, possibly, since they might
Maybe in
put
a
them in
couple
like
years.
they might put them in late game situations in spring training because they're going to have late game situations during the season. Maybe,
Sure.
I don't know. Um, but yeah, I think Vinny Pasquantino hit 2 home runs today.
I think well, just hit a couple RBIs at least anyway. I don't know if they're home runs, but I saw
The,
he had
on
a
the
couple RBIs.
Italian the Italian national team,
Yes.
Vinny
Oh,
Pasquantino.
yes. Yeah. Yeah. And so, well, I mean, yeah, most of the starting pitchers are only going an inning or two at most right now. And starting fielders, I think, are only getting two to three at bats. So I think the bulk of the runs, I think, from today's game, I think were scored well after the starters were out. But yeah, I think it's still like it's fun to see them win. I don't know that I
Yeah.
don't think it means anything though.
Do you think it? Do you think that the World Baseball Classic will be exciting this year? Do you know when it starts?
I believe it starts at the end of next week, maybe. It's March 3rd. What's the date I had in mind, at least anyway? That may not be right though.
March 7th. It says 7th to the
Oh, March
21st. So
7th.
so
Okay. So not
a
next
week
week.
from
After.
our air date. I mean our recording date. So it's the 28th of
Yes.
February right now. So it's going to be March 7th, 11 p.m. So I assume it's going to start in Japan if it's starting at 11 o'clock at
Must be,
night
yeah.
here. Do you know
Yeah,
the
where are the games being played? Is it all in one location or is it I don't
so,
remember what
no,
they
it's
do.
it's different places. So some of them are being played in Japan. There's like a pod in
Okay.
Japan. There's one in the United States, I think, and maybe there's like because there's 4 pools. I think each pool is playing in a particular.
Is an A location.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I am not uh, aware of. Let me see. Let me look. Uh, Schedule. So yeah, do we have? So it doesn't actually say where the games are being held on the schedule. Maybe if I click on each individual game. Yeah, so they're playing in Taiwan, at least some of the games,
Okay.
or Chinese Taipei, as it's
Right.
known internationally. So there are some in Taiwan. So they're opening up in Taipei on March 7th. Um, the games uh, on March 8th. There's also games in Japan, the Tokyo Dome. So one is in Taiwan, one is in Japan. Um, and there's got to be a better website that will. Okay, so some are in the United States. The United States isn't. Um, Here we go. Um, Pool play is okay. So Pool A, which is what they call Chinese Taipei, aka Taiwan, because we don't want to upset
Right.
the Chinese by declaring Taiwanese independence. Uh, Chinese Taipei, Netherlands, Cuba, Italy, Panama. All of them are playing in Taiwan,
Okay.
in the city of Taichung, not uh, not Taipei itself. Um, in the Tokyo Dome, we have Pool B, Japan, South Korea, Australia, China, Czech Republic. Pool C at Chase Field in Phoenix, we have USA, Mexico, Colombia, Canada, and Great Britain. And then Pool D, which is in Miami, uh, I think Puerto Rico is the host, I guess. Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Israel, and Nicaragua. Which of these is not like the others? Uh,
Great.
um, yeah, they're sort of by region, I guess. I'm not exactly sure how they developed it. But do you know? So if you were to bet on any of the teams to win, um, let me give you the top 8 uh, teams according to FanDuel and their odds of winning. So
Okay.
this won't include like the Czech Republic or Israel or Panama, countries like that. But instead, we have number 8 is Cuba, 40-1. 7, Puerto Rico, 21-1. 6, Mexico, a little bit surprising,
Yeah.
18-1. Korea, 10-1. Venezuela, also 10-1. Japan, 3-1. USA, 2.8-1.
Ooh.
And Dominican Republic, 2-1. You like any of those odds?
Well, I think if I was just gonna bet on one,
Oh, here's other
no.
contenders. Chinese Taipei. Oops, I think you're stuck. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm just not moving.
Oh, I thought it would be because you were. Oh, we didn't mention that you're in Tampa this weekend, so I thought maybe the Tampa Wi-Fi was not working for you. Chinese Taipei, Netherlands, Canada, Italy, all tied at 100-1. Colombia 120, Australia 120, Panama 190, Israel 250, and then Britain, Czech Republic, China, Nicaragua all 300-1.
Really. Well, I think if I was trying to make a bet, like just to like, hopefully win something, I would take the long odds on Cuba, probably, I would think at 40-1. That's not those are pretty good. Those are like decent odds for teams that has some history at least anyway, baseball.
Yeah, I
Uh
might. Yeah, Cuba is losing
um
more and more for defecting and things like that. So maybe a lot of the Cuban, actually, yeah, Seal Puig and some of the big, I think Moncada, a lot of some of the big Cuban players are on the Cuban national team this
I
year.
think
So
so, yeah.
I wonder if they'll be reverse defected. They'll be refected. maybe brought back
Possibly.
into
We don't know.
Shanghai to Cuba.
It's a possibility.
I think that would be funny.
Funny? I don't know that they would think it's very funny, but
No, but it would be a kind of a interesting
especially like
event.
hearing some of their stories about how some of them, had to get to what they had to do to get out of there, right?
Yeah,
Like Puig's story was pretty crazy.
yeah.
If you heard about that anyway, yeah, it's worth
I,
checking out if you
I
don't know.
kind of remember, but yeah, it was. Yeah, these are all be international incidents, I guess. But
Basically.
I'm uh, yeah, I'm still I don't know. I think yeah, I don't actually that Cuba bet I don't think is too bad. I'm a little surprised Puerto Rico is lower than Mexico,
Yeah.
uh, and maybe even lower than Korea, because I think all of Korea's players are from Korea, playing like from the Korean League. Maybe like only one,
Oh,
and same thing for Japan. Like almost all the players are based in Japan, which I guess maybe there's more team unity and things like that. So that might be an
sure.
advantage. But I would guess the average talent isn't as high as Puerto Rico or Cuba in terms of because like um,
Well,
I don't
they're effectively eliminating talent that is already in the major leagues. Then that's what you're saying.
maybe or I guess
Yeah.
I think their talent they would be better players if they were if their talent were being honed by major league competition.
Yeah.
Uh, because I think it's a little bit like this is a little bit like soccer in the United States. Like the U.S. team is better when they have more players that are playing in European
Mhm.
clubs. They can
Rather
compete better.
than against MLS competition
Yeah, rather
only.
than just MLS. Yeah, I don't think necessarily the players are worse or better than they have been, but I think just because they're playing against higher competition, that's a um, I think that can be good. But I guess you could say, well, in the Korean and the Japanese case, they're building like a team that's always together. They're not just kind of slapdash throwing them together either.
Yeah. So
But
if you're taking one long odds, one short odds, pick two. Who would you go
so
with?
so what is long? Is it more than 20 to 1?
Just not one of the top five, say.
Okay,
Somebody outside the top five.
outside the top five. Then I would say I do like Puerto Rico. At they're at number 7, 21 to 1.
Yeah.
Um, and my short odds. So Venezuela, Korea are tied at 10 to 1. And Japan 3 to 1, USA 2.8 to 1, Dominican 2 to 1. Maybe I guess I'll go with the USA. I'm gonna go. Um, I'll be patriotic and do the 2.8 to 1. I think there's more value there than there is. I think Japan at 3 to 1 is. I don't know. It seems pretty. Those odds seem pretty low to me. I don't think it's very good value. I don't.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's like a lot of. It's probably influenced by the betting market, and maybe there are a lot of Japanese bettors betting on Japan. Um, I don't think there are probably that many American because it's an important competition, more important competition to some of these worldwide teams
Yeah.
than it is to the United States. But I think Dominican is also too short. I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I think in its history, um, the USA is the defending champion,
Hmm.
and uh, Dominican won the previous one. Japan won the first two, so they haven't won since 2009.
Yeah.
And uh, Cuba was the runner-up in 2006. Your second pick. Puerto Rico was the runner-up in the last two World Baseball
Ooh.
Classics. So I'm liking my Puerto Rico pick. Japan was third. Netherlands was fourth. That might be an interesting longer odd. The Dutch team because they've got a lot. They have a lot of like Aruba and
Yeah.
Curacao, Caribbean players that are on the squads. So
Like
that could be.
Bogarts and players
Mhm.
like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Kenley Jansen, as we talked about last time.
That's right.
Uh, yeah. Andrew Simmons and people like that. So yeah, I think that could be a. Um, yeah, I'm not. I'm I guess I might watch one of the games if I happen to catch it, but I'm not going to be. Um, I don't know. I'm even though I like baseball, I think I tend to say I would follow baseball more than I would follow like um, soccer on a day-to-day basis. I'm much more interested in the World Cup than I am in the World Baseball Classic.
But
I don't know if you.
this isn't a World Cup year though, so you have
I know.
time that you could have spent on the World Cup. You could now spend on the World Baseball Classic or spring training.
Yeah,
Nah, that's fine.
I'm actually more interested in the NFL offseason probably than this because there have been some interesting stories. Is there any? Do we have any more baseball that we want to
I think let's go
talk
ahead
about?
and let's switch it up.
Okay, let's switch it up. Well, the biggest story, at least locally in Kansas City, is probably Eric Bienemy leaving as offensive coordinator. He's been offensive coordinator, I think, the last 5 seasons since Patrick Mahomes was a starter. He took the job of Matt Nagy, who went on to coach the Chicago Bears and then came back last year to be the quarterbacks coach. Now Matt Nagy is the new offensive coordinator. Do you think that Bienemy's leaving is a good idea for Bienemy, a good idea for the Chiefs? Both, neither. What would your assessment?
I think it's probably due to some extent. It seems like Bieniemy wants a head coaching job, and it doesn't seem as though he's going to get that shot while being under Andy Reid, since Andy Reid technically calls the plays.
Yeah,
So
unfortunately,
it
even
doesn't
though it didn't hurt.
seem like
Yeah.
he's going to get that opportunity without making this kind of move, because he said he interviewed for like 15 head coaching positions over the last couple of years
Hmm.
without getting a head coaching job. So it seems like he has to do something like this to try to bolster that resume so that he can hopefully get the real job that he wants. I will say that I thought it was interesting. I saw part of a press conference that he gave um, as the Washington's OC, and I think that may be the first time I've actually heard him speak. I'm not
Hmm.
sure that I've read articles where there's quotes from him, but I'm not sure that I'd actually heard him talk before. I don't know. Have you? I mean,
he,
that was one of those interesting things. Like,
he does talk with press conferences and things like that sometimes, not as much as Reed, not as much as Mahomes or whatever. But I think, yeah.
well, he
So, but
obviously
hey,
gives them. I don't know that I've ever
oh,
happened
I
to
see.
catch one of them. Is all
I've
right.
heard him a
So
little bit. Yeah, not a ton.
yeah,
Um, I think one of, and this is, I think the racial issue is a big issue. One why Bieniemy has not gotten hired places. Um, because it didn't hurt Doug Peterson or Matt Nagy from didn't hinder them from getting coaching jobs when they didn't call the plays either under Andy Reid and actually had a
right,
less track record of consistent success as an offensive coordinator
right,
than Bieniemy has had. All you can say maybe Bieniemy is they think, oh, he's benefiting from Patrick Mahomes. Most teams don't have a Patrick Mahomes. Would he be able to adapt there? One thing that I think hasn't been talked about with Bieniemy, one thing is his height. He's a very short
his
guy.
height.
Yeah, Bieniemy is very
Okay,
short. He's very short, um, and I wonder if that gives NFL teams pause because I think you think of football players as big guys, and you want a kind of commanding presence. Is having a very short head coach, maybe not even it just sort of subliminally kind of seen as a negative because most of the head like some of the head coaches are kind of short. I think Sean McVay is pretty short, but like he's white, so like he's there's like these little little pieces of kind of things that are going against the enemy. Also, he's unlike most black head coaches in the NFL. He's on the offensive side of things, whereas traditionally, if you're going to hire a black head coach, it's because of defense. Um, I think Jim Caldwell maybe is an exception, or a couple other guys, but like I'd say 90% of the African American head coach, African American coaching in the NFL is probably on the defensive
hmm.
side, or maybe running back coach or something like that. But it's not. You don't have a lot of offensive coordinators. Um, I think you have maybe fewer offensive coordinators than you do even head coaches. So I wonder if that is an issue as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from like we don't know like from Bienemy's interviews
Mm-hmm.
how many of those opportunities that he had that weren't just a team using him as the Rooney Rule
Yeah.
participant. I mean, he didn't actually wasn't really in the running. He got an interview just to fill a checkbox that the league has for
Mm-hmm.
interviewing minority coaches before they hire somebody.
Yeah.
So I mean, we don't know that
I, yeah.
he
I
may
would
have
guess he's
actually been up for some of those jobs, but
yeah. I would guess he's a token interview for some of them. I'm a little surprised he wasn't. He was because he was interviewed only one job this go around, and that was in Indianapolis, and they ended up hiring Shane Steichen, who was the offensive coordinator from the team that the enemy beat in the Super Bowl.
right, right,
And I was a little surprised that Steichen got hired as well, not just because of that, but also because he was on the staff of Nick Sirianni, who was on the staff of Frank Reich, who they just fired last year, and now you're just
yeah,
bringing another Frank Reich guy in, and I think
yeah,
that was something that was seen as a reason why, like in Chicago, for example, when Matt Nagy got fired, the enemy wasn't going to get that job. They went, even though Chiefs GM Ryan Poles got the job, they went like defensive coordinator Eberflus from someplace else. Like so, like
yeah,
I was surprised again, but in Indianapolis is just you know, it's just crazy. I think I don't know if that's going to be um,
yeah.
a winning situation for Steichen. I kind of hope not, because I don't really like Sirianni. I think he's kind of a jerk, and so I assume anybody that Sirianni likes is also going to be a jerk.
Probably. But it seems like they also wanted to get away from him though too, right?
Maybe
Both the coordinators there left.
about the coordinators. Yeah, well, yeah, it was funny. They were hired. I'm sure the week before the Super Bowl, and then they were announced the day after the Super Bowl, and like, oh, we got the especially I think you can say Steichen did a good job against the Chiefs. And all year the offense played pretty well with a guy like Jalen Hurts. But
Yeah.
yeah, but it seemed like the
You would
uh
think the Bears would actually want the Eagles offensive coordinator, right? Isn't that what you would think? Because they have Justin Fields, who's a similar quarterback to
yeah,
in style to Jalen Hurts. It would make the most sense because say, well, if you design an offense that worked for him, you should be able to design an offense that works
yeah.
for our guy. So,
Unfortunate, yeah.
but
Unfortunately, they hired a guy last year, so
yeah,
they can't get rid. They weren't going to get rid of him. You don't.
they weren't going to fire another coach, right?
Yeah, you don't. Well, you don't fire white coaches after one season. You only fire
That
black
seems to
coaches
be how it
after one
works.
season, whether you're in Houston or in Arizona, or I guess if you're Urban Meyer, that's the exception.
But you have to like screw up a lot,
if
even if
you're
you are
really
Urban
really
Meyer.
terrible,
I mean, you have to be
Hackett,
actively bad all year and have your team in the news repeatedly all season for the wrong reasons because
yeah,
of things that you did personally. That's how.
yeah,
That's how. I mean, because Urban Meyer had a long rope there
mm,
for like all of the scandals that happened with him.
yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah, I guess Nathaniel Hackett also got fired. But he had a lot of like from the very beginning. He was pretty beleaguered. Like that first game when he kicked he went for like the 60-yard field goal instead of a 4th and 3 or something like that.
Yeah,
And like mismanaged the clock like every game, and they had to hire. It's like but like you have to be kind of extra bumbling as a white coach, I think, to get fired or have some sort of scandal or both, like in Urban Meyer's case.
yeah,
Um, but like Lovie Smith got fired because he won too much, and they wanted the number one draft pick probably, or he's going to get fired anyway.
mm-hmm.
The previous Texans coach also got fired after 1 year. The guy in Arizona, Steve Wilkes, got fired after 1 year. So like it's I don't know. I think yeah, I'm not sure, but Bienemy, it seems like he's going to have his own ship to run under Ron Rivera, so maybe being independent will help. Chiefs running back coach Greg Lewis seems to have also left to go with Bienemy for I guess also would be a lateral move. I don't know what else. He wouldn't be promoted, I don't think, from running backs coach. Is
So
there a,
what's the next step up from running backs coach?
I guess, offensive coordinator? Because that's what Bienemy
Is there
was,
something?
right?
So like an assistant offensive coordinator,
Yeah.
assistant to the offensive coordinator. Is that it?
Yeah. I guess Greg Lewis was a wide receiver, so maybe you would think he wants to be wide receivers coach. I don't know.
I mean, that's still a positional.
Actually, he was wide receivers
Okay.
coach. He was wide receivers coach from 2017 to 2020. Now he became running backs coach. Maybe
Oh,
that change. Maybe he didn't like that change, or maybe I don't know. It's hard to say.
but now I think we know a little bit more about who the enemy's quarterback's going to be next season. Possibly, well, at least we know who it isn't.
It's not going to be Carson Wentz. It's not going to be Taylor Heineke. Both of those quarterbacks have been let go. Um, the Chiefs are perhaps in the market for a backup quarterback with retirement of Chad Henne.
On the spot after the Super Bowl win, right?
Yeah, doing it on top. Um, do you think the Chiefs will go for a name backup to back up Patrick Mahomes, or do you think they'll roll with Steve Buechele, who's Shane Buechele, son of Steve Buechele, former Major League Baseball player. Shane Buechele, who was the third quarterback, somebody they protected every game on their roster. They kept him on the active roster to avoid his getting um, picked up by some other
Snatched
team.
away
Yeah, off the
from the
practice
practice
squad.
squad. They seem to
Yeah.
like him. Like I
Mhm.
think they may have considered, him over Henny even, right? In the for the active roster.
Mhm.
Um coming out of preseason last season, possibly, right?
Mhm.
Um they seem to I think with the number of uh you know named quarterbacks that we know that are already on the market, if any of them happen to be available come the end of the preseason, they may sign somebody to be a backup.
Yeah, I
But
don't know. Yeah, it's one
I
of
don't
the,
know if they're going to go after somebody ahead of time, but they may just wait to see who's
that could be.
left or gets cut late in spring training, like not spring training, preseason. That's it. It's a call to something different
I think there are
for
I
football.
I think there are potentially 22 different quarterbacks that in my brief research today, 22 different quarterbacks
22.
that might end up with a team that's different from the team they were on last year. These are actually 22 quarterbacks, not just like career backups, but these are people who have actually started games in the NFL,
Like
uh,
Carson Wentz and Taylor
like Carson
Heineke.
Wentz and Taylor Heineke. Um, should I go through the
Sure.
list? Actually, first, they will. Pro Football Focus released a top 100 potential free agents list. The top two um, people on that list are quarterbacks.
Okay.
I'll give you number one. Number one is Lamar Jackson, um,
Yes. No, although
who
not technically a free agent yet.
not technically a free agent yet, but potential free agent.
Yeah. Because I
Um,
guess there's talk about the Baltimore possibly using the tag on him and then Lamar Jackson potentially not accepting it
so
to
he
become
might
the
sit
free
out.
agent.
He might get traded. He might be, I
Yeah.
guess, released. I don't know because it seems like he's wanting this giant contract that's similar to what Deshaun Watson got when he got the fully guaranteed money because the Cleveland Browns are idiots. And
Hmm. It
uh,
doesn't seem like Baltimore wants to do that because they could have signed him last year and did not.
yeah, and he's been hurt. Two
And
seasons
then
in
he
a
gets hurt a lot.
row.
Yeah.
At the end of the season, he hasn't. He's been a little fragile. Not necessarily his fault. You think maybe if the offense was different, maybe he could be more of a Mahomes ish type of player. Like he runs sometimes, but not all the time, like he does. But so yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about. We can talk a little bit about Lamar Jackson in a second. Lamar Jackson was
Yeah.
number one.
Yeah.
Who is Pro Football Focus's number two potential free agent target? He's a quarterback that could be on the move.
Um, I would say it's got to be Rogers, right?
I don't know if Rodgers is on the list, but he's not on the list.
Really?
I don't know if he was considered
Oh,
to
he
be on
wouldn't.
this
I guess
list.
he wouldn't be a free agent though.
He's
He's
not a
under
free agent.
contract.
So yeah, he's on a contract.
Brady, Brady.
It's not Brady.
Really?
Um, it's
Although he may have some weird contract issue. Also, I'm not sure what
somebody
if he
you
actually
aren't.
filed his retirement paperwork or that kind of thing.
He did. I think he did with the Players Association, but I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
Um, it's also not Jimmy Garoppolo. It's not Derek Carr. Not even Ryan
Wow, it seems like
Tannehill.
really.
Not Daniel Jones. It is Geno Smith
Oh,
as
really?
the number two
I didn't realize he
free
was
agent.
actually would be a free agent. Well, is he on a 1 year deal with Seattle? It must have been.
I think so because, well, it's also interesting because Drew Lock is also a potential free agent. So I don't know because I think they were thinking, well, if Smith doesn't pan out, at least we have Lock, or if Lock doesn't
Yeah,
pan out, at least we have Smith, or if they both suck, we can get rid of him. And
yeah.
uh, Geno Smith was the most in terms of passing completion percentage, the most accurate quarterback last season.
I
He
I
had
just assumed that he would have been under. They would have that Seattle would have already signed him to a multi-year deal if they didn't before the season had started. I didn't
mm-mm,
realize that after that kind of year that he wouldn't at least have a second year on his contract.
no, apparently, or at least he
Huh.
can opt out. He's considered to be a potential free agent.
Wow. Well, I mean, he did have a good season, so it's not.
If okay,
He will get a job. I guarantee you, he'll be on somebody's roster next year. That's one of
with
those
so
guys.
if you were a let me run through the list and maybe
Sure.
we can keep like a top six or seven. Oh, maybe this is what maybe we had thought of. We could say, do we think this person will be a starter next year in the NFL? Do you think this person will be backup or on the roster next year in the NFL? Or do you think this person is going to be out of the league
Out of
uh,
the league. Okay.
next year? Um,
Starter on the roster, out of the league.
yeah, and some of these I could say like first one I'll say Aaron Rodgers. I think
Starter.
starter. I think out of the league is much more likely than
Oh, no
on a
way.
raw. I mean, on a roster. I mean, like starter is probably most likely, but I think out of the
Yeah.
league is not far off though either.
I'll
Um,
give you what is
you think
it?
he's going to
50
play?
million reasons why? Nobody walks away from $50 million, do
Hey, he
they?
was in the darkness retreat. He
Not even for the full time. Did you see that? That he left like 2 days early.
no, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
He's such a doofus.
Well, or he just figured everything out in less time than he needed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if yeah,
you didn't
maybe
think that?
that's
You
he
didn't
is
think that was
as
the option?
well. I think that could be what he thinks. Uh, I don't know if that's what a objective third party would determine, but I think that's perhaps what he thinks in his heart of hearts.
That's
Yeah, so we have Aaron Rodgers. So you think he's going to be a starter? I think he probably will be too. But do you think it will be with Green Bay, or do you think it will be with another team?
ah, I think that's a more difficult question. I think different team is that's my guess.
Yeah, I think the
So is
Packers.
Jordan Love on your list then too, or is he?
No, because he's on the. I think he's not going anywhere. I don't think.
He won't, I guess he wouldn't be a free agent, but there was talk, I guess, that if they try to keep Rodgers, that they may try to trade
Trade
Jordan
Jordan Love.
Love.
Well,
But it also wouldn't be a free agent though, so that's
that would
true
also
from that
be
from
what
this
I could also
restriction.
include a similar quarterback in kind of similar circumstances that wasn't on my list either. That's Trey Lance, who could also perhaps be traded, or I guess even
Mm,
Brock Purdy possibly. One of those, both of those
right.
quarterbacks, because the 49ers are only going to be able to keep one. But Garoppolo, and my next guy I was going to mention was Jimmy Garoppolo, um, starter, backup out of the league next year,
I think he'll be a starter
starter.
as long
49ers.
as he's healthy.
Yeah, do you think he's going
He'll get
to?
signed somewhere for sure, but
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
starter.
Okay. Starter. Derek Carr.
Starter.
Starter.
There are too many teams that need a quarterback, and
Yeah,
he just won the Pro Bowl skills competition.
he
So
did, and I think the Jets are looking at him if they can't get Rodgers.
yeah.
I think that well, it seems like the most likely place. Well, it's like Rodgers is going to cost a lot of money. He's going to cost some draft picks, and same thing for Lamar Jackson. It's going to cost a lot of money and probably draft picks
Hmm.
because I couldn't imagine the Ravens just letting him go. They would probably sign him to the franchise tag and then
And then trade him. Yeah.
negotiate his rights or something.
Hmm.
So, but I guess you could also say Jackson, if he doesn't get what he wants, he might be out of the league next year. He might not play.
You could sit, yeah.
Um,
I think he'll be. I would assume he'll be starting in some way somewhere.
okay. So we talked about Geno Smith. You think Geno Smith will be starting somewhere
I think
next year?
so.
Do you think it will be Seattle?
That I don't. I think they will. I think they had success last year. I think they should. I would assume that they're going to try to re-sign him. That'd be my. They had success with him. I don't know why they would purposely go after somebody else, unless they have somebody
Well,
that they think is ready. But I don't
Seattle
think they
does have
do.
they do have the number 5 overall pick in this year's draft because they picked it up from the Denver Broncos.
But I think they would still, even if they drafted a quarterback, I think they'd still want Geno Smith to be there for one more year
Mm-hmm.
as at least protection for whoever they draft.
They also
Should
have
it
the
be a
number
quarterback?
they also have number 20 picks, so they have 2 picks in the first round.
So they're probably going to draft a quarterback, which means you'd like to have a guy with, the ability to lead the team if the guy you pick isn't NFL ready today.
Mm-hmm. Maybe even with the 5 and 20 picks, could the Seahawks go up to like number 1 and draft their choice of quarterback? Would they trade with the Bears trade down to 5
There's
and
there's
20?
already been stories about the Bears being willing and maybe even likely to trade that number one pick.
Yeah, I don't think they. I think I would given the quarterbacks in this class. I'm not that keen on any of them. I think the
Mm-hmm.
did you see today how tall Bryce Young was?
I did not.
He's listed as 6 feet tall. He
Four
is
foot seven.
close enough. He's
No.
5'10" and he's 5'10" and a half.
Oh,
Is what he was. So he is 5'10".
but did
Bryce Young
but what was his hand size
hand
though?
size.
Was like
Well, he weighs 190. I think he weighs 195 pounds. I don't think they've done his measure. He's not going to probably do that measurement stuff at
yeah.
the combine. But
They're not going to try to like trick him to stand on a scale somewhere and
yeah, I he's 5'10" and a half.
like
That is
lead him around somewhere with something that he wants and to stand on top of like a pet weighing
yeah,
scale or something.
yeah, that is Kyler Murray's height. 5'10". He was 5'10", 1/8, 207 pounds, so 10 pounds heavier, 12 pounds heavier than Bryce Young.
Hmm.
Russell Wilson is also about that tall.
Yeah.
And it seems like perhaps Wilson has had trouble. Wilson says he's 5'11", has had trouble maybe recently because he doesn't have the mobility he used to have, so he can't like get out of the pocket and see around his blockers to throw the ball quite as well as he used to. So, yeah, the height thing has become. I think it's well, the hand size was something that was kind of big. I think height is actually kind of important. I don't think hand size, as long as you can like grip a football and throw a football,
Right.
I think it's okay. Because like I don't know if they've really said that hand size and fumbling go together really, or if there's a real correlation. But
Yeah.
um, I think there was something about Joe Burrow's hands not being that big either, and
Right.
Kenny
It's just
Pickett,
funny. It's just funny to hear like
yeah,
the
hand
talking
size.
heads talking about players' hand size for like 5 hours on
Mm-hmm.
ESPN every day.
Yeah. And like the other top quarterback is CJ Stroud from Ohio State. And they already have Justin Fields from Ohio State. And I think Fields was better in college than CJ Stroud was, at least in terms of overall kind of resume. Really, I don't know. So like I don't know if the Bears were going to change. Oh, okay. So let's keep going on the list. Ryan Tannehill, will he be a starter? Backup or out of the league?
I'm probably a starter, but I think on a roster.
You think just on a roster?
I'll say on a roster. I'll say he'll sign somewhere, but then maybe he won't win the battle, basically, for the starting role. Something
Seems like
like
the
that.
most recent rumors are that Tannehill will stay on the Titans next year, at least according to one rumor I just saw. So maybe he will be the. Well, he and Malik Willis maybe will compete for the starting job. I'm not sure,
Maybe.
but um, yeah. So I think of Tannehill, Carr, Garoppolo, I don't know if there's a difference between those three
Yeah,
guys, really. If I
yeah.
had to, maybe I'd rank Garoppolo and Carr a little ahead of Tannehill. I don't know. Tannehill's had more postseason success than Carr for sure,
Hmm.
and he's been in maybe I don't know. He's injury prone like Garoppolo. I don't know who I'd take. Um, Marcus Mariota got released today. Do you think he will be a starter next year on a
I would
roster out of the
say
league?
on a roster.
On a roster?
What do you think of that one?
I think he'll be competing for a starting job with
Yeah,
somebody like the next guy, like Carson Wentz or somebody like that.
yeah,
I think there will be some team that will bring in. Let's bring in if we can't draft a quarterback high enough, like let's say we're in the NFC South, we're Tampa
yeah.
or somebody, and we aren't going to get Rodgers or we're not going to get Carr or Garoppolo. If we just bring in Mariota, Wentz,
Bring in all of them.
Baker Mayfield, all those kind of
Yeah,
fringe starters, maybe you think one will stick, and like because one could be the next Geno Smith.
sure.
Um, come
Well,
along.
if you have the right offensive coordinator, I mean, you should be able to make just about anybody work in some capacity,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Like at least an NFL offense with basically anybody that can throw a short pass, right?
yeah, I
You're
think
probably not going
so.
to win a lot of games, but you can at least like compete. For
Yeah.
some teams, that's all they're aiming for, right?
Yeah, well, at least it's a step. Yeah, like that's all you have to do to win some divisions. Like it's all you have to do to win in the NFC South right now, especially without Brady there.
Just don't be
Um,
actively terrible.
yeah, it seems like the Falcons are going to stick with Desmond Ritter, but that seems
Hmm.
kind of dumb to me. But it seems like I would go after somebody like if you're in the NFC, like if you get Carr or Garoppolo, like you have one of the top two or three quarterbacks in the conference probably, and
Yeah.
what else?
I mean, you have to have at least a receiver that is fast enough to
Mhm.
outrun somebody, right?
Yeah, especially if Rogers is gone. Like, if he's
Yeah.
on the Jets or something, like it's like Kirk Cousins and Jalen Hurts are the dream. Maybe you could say Kyler Murray if he wasn't hurt all the time, but
Yeah.
or Stafford if he comes back. I don't know if he's going to come back from injury. We've got so many of these guys. Okay, so Daniel Jones, free agent, possibly for the Giants. Do you sign him back if you're the Giants, or do you let him go and try to find somebody else?
I mean, he'll be on a roster. I don't think he'll be starting though, whatever it is. Yeah, I don't know. The Giants don't seem like they're set on him, right? So
Yeah, I think if he's
I
on the
don't know.
Giants, he's the starter, but I don't think he's necessarily. Or if he goes to
Yeah.
the NFC South, he's probably the starter, but I don't know if he's
Maybe.
somebody out. I don't know. Yeah. We said Lamar Jackson. What Tom Brady? How about Tom Brady? Do you think that the any team will get
I think
Tom
I think
Brady
a lot of
to?
teams will ask about him, but my guess is that he will wait to see what San Francisco's quarterback looks like towards the end of the preseason. And if Purdy's not ready and Trey Lance isn't the guy after they've deemed that, before the season starts, I can see him stepping in to fill
Mhm.
in for a season.
Well, does
But
this change your perspective on that? Raiders coach Josh McDaniels has recently spoken to Tom Brady and believes that Tom Brady is, quote, at peace with his decision in retirement. Does that simply mean, however, that Tom Brady did not want to go play with Josh McDaniels and the Raiders because it seems like the Raiders thought that they were going to be able to get Tom Brady, which is why they got rid of Derek Carr so early
mhm,
last season, and
right.
why perhaps they even hired Josh McDaniels in the first place is because of his connection to Tom Brady, and maybe why they didn't fire him after his not so good first season. Do you think that McDaniels' insight means that Brady is really going to stay out, or is it a?
I don't think that means anything for multiple reasons.
Let me run through. Let me run. So we mentioned Mayfield. Let me run through a bunch of others, and like maybe you stop me if you think
Oh,
that
I'll
either
say
one
one
of
more
these.
thing really about but Brady apparently is going to become a stand-up comedian though. We just
Oh yeah, that's.
recently really we saw, so I think that may keep him out of the the Raiders
Yeah,
contention too.
stand-up
Yeah.
comedian Tom Brady. If there's a a quarterback that would not be a stand-up comedian, I think it would be actually maybe Russell Wilson. I think would be a worse stand-up comedian than Tom Brady. I think uh, or Aaron Rodgers. Actually, it would be Aaron, like one of the really giant ego quarterbacks that I think has. I think Brady has more self-awareness than either Rodgers or Wilson, and so I think maybe that could play well better for him than those two guys. I
Yeah.
would, yeah, I think. So yeah, I would say he's not the least likely. That would be a great stand-up. I'd say he's not. He's maybe the third least, like in terms of personality. I don't know. I don't know if Garoppolo. I don't know. There's a lot of quarterbacks that don't have much personality. So maybe Brady's not as bad as I could think he would be, but I don't think he would. He wouldn't want to do something he wouldn't be very good at. I don't think. Uh, I don't know. He wouldn't. I don't know if he'd want to go out of his comfort zone and do something because like he's like a brand, and he's very he only eats certain things,
Right.
and I don't think that really
No,
the
that's funny.
comedian lifestyle that really meshes well. Uh,
Yeah.
with that. Unless he and like Artie Lang are like a straight man opposite kind of duo or
Right.
something like that.
See that.
I was trying to think of the least healthy comedian, and
Together they make just like an average guy then, right?
it's like twins. It's
Which
like
is
twins from
still not funny though.
with Danny DeVito and
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let me run through this list. I've
Yes.
only named about half the quarterbacks on this list. I think all of these next people are all kind of the same, but they're different ages. So tell me if you think any of these could be a starter next year, or if any of these will be out of the league. I think all of these, if they're going to play, are probably backups at best. But we can if you think someone's going to be out of the league, let me know. So we have Teddy Bridgewater, Andy
He'll be on
Dalton,
a roster. Who?
Andy Dalton.
Dalton. He'll be on a roster.
I don't know about Jameis Winston if he's available or not.
Yeah.
He's not on my list actually. I just thought of him when I thought of.
Maybe he signed a multi-year deal and won't show up on that. Yeah.
He so like it says, Jameis Winston won't be a free agent March 15th, but he could be one. They could on June 1st they could the Saints could release him. So there's also Jameis Winston. If you had to pick between Dalton and Winston, which one would you pick?
I mean, I would think Winston has more potential.
Yeah,
Dalton may have a year left. I don't know.
you could think maybe he would have a like a Geno Smith type of renaissance. Maybe
May,
Winston. He's had
possibly.
success in the league.
Mm,
Okay. Sam Darnold.
I don't know. Roster. He'll be on a roster.
Gardner Minshew.
Uh, he's on the fringe of out of the league, I think. I don't know. But I guess he performed competently well when Hertz was out. So
Uh,
he'll probably still be on a roster.
okay. Uh, Joe Flacco.
It seems like he's probably gonna retire. What do you think?
Possibly, but you never know. Maybe on a roster somewhere. Taylor Heineke.
He'll get a job somewhere.
He, I think he would be a fun backup for
Fringe
Mahomes.
starter.
I think he'd be a fun backup for Mahomes because he's kind of got
Yeah.
that. He's and like he seems to have a good rapport with
With his
teammates,
teammates, yeah, for
and
sure.
he like is a hustler, and he like grits it out. Like I think the players like playing with Heineke, and it's something they didn't enjoy with
If Dayton
Wentz.
Moore was still the Royals GM, would he sign him to be a
Oh, yeah,
just to stand in the locker room and pump people up,
he'd pick
or
Heineke in a second.
convert him to a utility infielder?
Yeah. So Heineke is 29 years old. He's almost 30. He'll be 30 in March. That's a little older than I thought.
I didn't know he was that old. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised. So he's been in the league since 2015 when he was with the Vikings.
I didn't remember that he was even in the league that long. Yeah,
Yeah, I was
especially with
surprised.
the Vikings. Yeah.
Do you know where Taylor Heineke went to college?
Nope. No clue.
Old Dominion. He was a
Oh.
4-year starter at Old Dominion. He put up pretty big numbers at Old Dominion. I think Old Dominion is a FCS, former 1AA. So
Yeah.
um, similar to like what Carson Wentz, Trey Lance, those kinds of quarterbacks.
I just know that they show up in the NCAA basketball tournament every once in a while. Old
Yeah.
Dominion.
Um, we have Joe Flacco's Jets teammate Mike White, who was the most successful quarterback for the Jets this year.
Roster maybe somewhere. Not confident in that. Probably not a starter.
White will be 28 uh, in March. So these people are all older than Patrick Mahomes,
Yeah.
and White played for both South Florida and Western Kentucky, also the alma mater of Bailey Zappi. Um, I I could also see Bailey Zappi's teammate Mac Jones getting shipped off somewhere because it seems like there was a thing I saw today that one of the things that I learned about Mac Jones is that you were not allowed to yell at Mac Jones because he did not respond to criticism in that way, which seems a little bit strange on a Bill
Well,
Belichick
If Mac
coached
Jones is
team.
out, do you think Brady back to New England is a possibility then?
I think if they could, if Brady were even a remote possibility, they would have kicked Jones to the curb months ago.
Yeah.
I still think Bailey Zappi's a better quarterback than Mac Jones, and I haven't necessarily been proven otherwise yet. But maybe that'll change. Do you want? Oh, did you? I didn't know this until today, just looking it up. Do you know why Mac Jones is called Mac Jones? What is Mac short for?
Is this It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia Mac scenario where his name is Ronald McDonald?
It's actually quite similar to that. His name is Michael McCorkle Jones. So it's Mac, I believe, comes from McCorkle.
uh, I mean, if you said just guess names where Mac is short for, I don't know how many names would have come up before McCorkle would have been my guess. Hundreds,
Yeah.
thousands. I'm not sure I would have come up with McCorkle ever. Like,
Yeah. And yeah, he went to a private school in Jacksonville called the Bowles School. That's where he went to. His father was a college tennis player, so he comes. I think Mac Jones is a little bit spoiled in his upbringing. Um, you can say that with Mahomes as well, but Mahomes, I think, didn't like. There's something that Mahomes has that Mac Jones does not
doesn't seem to.
possess, and that is, I think, there's a certain competitive fire and also a kind of like Heineke esque um, joy that he brings out of his teammates. I don't think Mac Jones does it. He's
Hmm.
one of my least favorite players in the NFL. Mac Jones.
Wow.
He's up there. He's up there. Actually, I think technically I actually like him less as a person and a player than even Taysom Hill or Jordan Love, who I don't dislike as people. I just dislike that um, people think that they would be good.
Where I believe you decided that he was not even the best quarterback with the last name of Love in his conference before he was drafted, right?
Yeah, and I don't think that's Jordan Love's fault necessarily. I don't think Jordan Love is as
Yeah.
big of a dick
Yeah, that's not actually his fault.
as Mac Jones.
That's possibly the Packers evaluating him and
Yeah,
talking about him so highly. Right. More than anything that Jordan Love had to do with anything.
and like you haven't heard anything about Jordan Love kind of complaining about not starting
Yeah.
or anything like that, but you hear stuff like that from Mac Jones like all the time, and like he pouts and like he gets all like, and he's not like a portrait genius on the field that could kind of like you can say that about Aaron Rodgers maybe he's actually a good player and he's a jerk but he's had success and he's does his things his own way and he gets results. But yeah, I don't see that with Mac
With it,
Jones.
with that line about the not even being the best quarterback with the last name of Love in the
Is it Jeff Gluck?
conference.
Yeah. I can't remember who was that. He played for uh
So it
Fresno
wasn't
State,
even
I
like a
believe.
it wasn't even yeah, it wasn't even a Power Five conference. It was like
It was
a
it was
lower tier.
it was no, it was Utah State, wasn't it? No, no, Jordan Love with Utah State. Fresno, maybe it was Fresno State. Um, I don't remember. I'm looking at Josh Love, San Jose State. It was San Jose State, Josh Love.
Did he make it onto a roster somewhere?
I don't believe so.
No.
He was on the Rams for a while.
Oh, so
He,
he did make it to a roster.
yeah, he's now on the Michigan Panthers of the USFL, so he will be starting in April. Um, so he was a practice squad member of the Rams in 2020, a practice squad member of the Panthers 2021, and he's been in the USFL this past season with
All right.
Pittsburgh and Michigan's. So he's not so yeah, probably not going to go anywhere, but who knows? Maybe he'll have a strong season this year in the USFL and maybe get another practice squad chance and possibly a way to work up. So, oh, we didn't say Mike White. Do you think Mike White will be on a roster or out of the league?
Uh, I mean, if he's on a roster, I think it'd be still in for the Jets.
Possibly.
Otherwise, I would think no, but that'd be my guess.
He also might be a decent backup for like Mahomes type because he's threw for a lot of yards uh,
Yeah,
and was like a fan favorite.
yeah,
I'd still I think the Chiefs should try to get as a backup if they don't go for like a name like a bigger name that should be like or like a Gardner Minshew type. Even I think would be kind of a fun, capable backup if you don't want to go somebody old and gets a lot of money. Um,
yeah.
there's also available is Drew Lock. Do you think he will wind up someplace as a potential starter, or is he just in
I
backup
didn't know he was
territory
on a
now?
roster this year until you mentioned that he was earlier today.
He was on the
So
he lost to Geno Smith. He lost the starting job to Geno Smith.
I didn't realize that until yeah. I guess he has the capability of being on a roster then, so probably on a
Mhm.
roster somewhere.
You have Jacoby Brissett.
He should be on a roster somewhere,
Yeah,
possibly starting in a
yeah.
pinch.
He's that level of Teddy Bridgewater, maybe even
Yeah,
Geno Smith level. I don't think I still think Geno Smith was more of a mirage. He also has really good wide receivers to
yeah,
throw to. Um,
sure.
yeah. Case Keenum.
I'd be surprised if he's on a roster, but he'll probably be he'll probably end up on the Chiefs roster somehow. Right?
And last but not least, Matt Ryan.
I think he'd retire, but I don't know. If he hasn't retired already, he's gonna try to be on a roster somewhere.
Do you think he has one more go as a starting quarterback?
That's very possible. There are so many teams that need help at QB that
Yeah.
yeah, he'll probably end up on a roster somewhere and
Yeah, I
at
would
least competing
say,
for a job.
yeah, of the teams that like have uncertainty at quarterback, let's say even if you just run through the NFC, so if Geno Smith is a free agent, so we have Seattle, we have San Francisco with who knows what's going on
With
um,
health, basically for
with
Purdy,
health, with Purdy or with Lance, I
with Lance,
guess.
then potentially, yeah.
The Rams, we don't know what's going on with Stafford really. I guess we know what's sort of going on with Kyler Murray, but you're stuck with Kyler Murray for. So I guess the most stable quarterback situation right now, anyway, is Arizona in the NFC West.
With
Uh,
an injury and
yeah,
yeah,
NFC South, New Orleans, we don't know. Tampa, we don't know. Carolina, we don't know. Atlanta, we don't really know either. So all four. So that's 7 out of 8 that have, I guess, uncertainty. NFC North, I think we know Cousins is going to be in
Yeah.
Minnesota, although maybe you want to upgrade. Justin Fields, probably, although maybe you want to upgrade. Jared Goff, surprisingly, I think is the most stable starting quarterback right now in the
He's
NFC
maybe the
North.
only one you'd say will be the starter next year.
More than like you would say Rodgers if he's there, but that's Jordan Love. So that's like maybe
It could be
and then
neither of those guys, right?
mhm,
It could be neither of those guys in Green
yeah,
Bay, right? Yeah.
yeah, who knows? NFC East, well, there's Dak. I'm sure the Cowboys would want to upgrade, even though he's a decent quarterback.
Yeah.
Washington, we have no idea. It's going to be Sam Howell right now, but who knows?
Yeah.
New York Giants right now, we don't have any idea.
Yep.
Philadelphia, we do, and that's kind of all we know. And you think
Yeah.
maybe in Philadelphia, I could even see, well, maybe we'll regret signing Hurts to a big deal because he might get hurt, and
Sure.
then what do we do? I guess you
So
could
you're
say
saying like of the 16 teams that there's maybe three are secure, but possibly all three would upgrade should the right person become available.
yeah, I don't think they could with Hurts upgrade.
Yeah.
Or that would but I could see them thinking Hurts is going to be Lamar Jackson in a couple of years. And both are very, very talented, both might be injury prone. And because not because of their necessarily physical stature, but because the way they play quarterback is that they take a beating.
Mhm.
And Hurts showed, I think, in the Super Bowl that he could throw pretty well, other than that
Mhm.
last pass. But
Yeah.
um, so maybe he can transition into a Josh Allen type of running sometimes, but throwing more. But like in the
Mostly.
AFC,
Yeah.
there's so many teams that do have their quarterback set for a long time. Um, Justin Herbert and Mahomes in the AFC West. Raiders don't you don't know. I guess the Broncos are stuck with Wilson. Um, AFC South, well, you have
Tannehill.
Lawrence. Tannehill, I guess you're sort of stuck with maybe. Um,
Potentially. But he was also on that potential free agent list,
yeah,
right?
Houston, Indianapolis, we have no idea.
Yeah.
Um, AFC North, I guess you say, well, Burrow for sure you're in good hands with him.
Yeah.
Um, you you don't know exactly, I guess, what's going on with Lamar Jackson. You don't know what's. I think you would say you don't know exactly. I guess you sort of know you have Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, unless
Yeah.
there's some other legal trouble that pops up, but he's been back. He hasn't been very good since he's been back. Kenny Pickett, it might be the most. He's number two, but
Yeah.
I don't know. You think maybe they could upgrade, but he's still showing something. Um,
Hmm.
and then there's the AFC East, which you have Josh Allen, good. Miami though, Tua, if
He's
he's
under contract at least anyway, but
yeah, but if he's healthy, you don't know if he can stay healthy.
right.
Um, you have Jets. You don't know about the Jets and the Patriots. I think it's Mac Jones, but like I guess I was thinking the AFC looked a lot better, but it does look a lot better. But there's still a lot of uncertainty and a lot. Even those some of those good quarterbacks are not necessarily as stable as maybe you think. I don't know. It's a weird situation. Do you have any idea why it's so strange this year?
Or is it just because there's such a big gap between what we think is the top most tier of the QB and the average QB, what we consider a bad QB is like basically everybody else, right? So uh I think it's just like like Mahomes and Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, I guess probably.
Joe
I'm
Burrow.
just and Burrow too, yeah. I guess I set the bar like so much higher than what we've expected to see for
Hmm.
what we consider the top tier quarterback. I think the gap between top and what we think is like an average quarterback has
Yeah,
gotten bigger, right?
yeah. Like you
It's
would say,
not
maybe.
necessarily that like the best quarterback is just a little bit better than an average guy, just like maybe the right personnel around him. It just seems like this crop of the top tier is just that much better than the average QB, and it just makes everybody else look bad.
Yeah, there's a big gulf. Like you say, Lawrence might jump up there. Hurts can be up there, but
Yeah.
and Lamar Jackson, if he's healthy, is up there. But like,
Mm.
yeah, there's like that top eight, and maybe Rogers if he is all right in the head. Uh, and
Quiet,
yeah,
quiet.
Wyatt could be up there. but you think there might be a cliff he's going to fall. But like everybody else, like those like Carr, Garoppolo, Cousins, they're all they would be like Dak Prescott. They're like average, but you think, but like it's such a strange um world now that it's like it's the haves and have-nots, I guess, or even
Mm.
the haves and the sort of haves. It's a big the middle. It's like I guess it's like wealth disparity in the United States. The middle class and the upper class are uh, growing farther and farther
Right.
apart.
Yeah. It seems to be that. Yes. The quarterback crop seems to be mirroring that economic concept.
Yeah. Um, any other NFL news non-quarterback?
Um, Probably, but I'm not thinking of anything else right now. I don't,
I guess there's the Chiefs have big questions with. I think their biggest question is probably with Orlando Brown, whether
Mhm.
they keep him or franchise him again. Um,
Frank
Tennessee offensive,
Clark's
Frank
salary, I
Clark,
think, is escalating
he might
still.
have to get restructured. There's uh,
What McCole
Wiley,
Hardman's
yeah,
contract, I think, comes up this year too.
Wiley is also a free agent on the right side. Juju is a free agent. Hardman,
Mm.
a lot of receivers. One thing I noticed that a potential solid tackle is on the market. Tennessee got rid of Taylor Lewin, their tackle, and I saw today that the Titans unceremoniously dropped off all of Lewin's stuff in garbage bags on Lewin's front porch.
Wow.
Is that how you think a 10-year veteran should be treated?
That seems surprising. Was that yeah, there's gotta be more to that story, right? I mean, like that we won't hear about, but
Yeah, Lewin has played. Um, let's see, he started out with the Titans' first round draft pick in 2014. He uh, became the starting left tackle uh, on the next year. He was a Pro Bowler from 2016 to 2018. Uh, he, he's been solid, but injured um, last year, and um, he's considering retirement, perhaps. But he was, but yeah, he's a. So yeah, I saw that today. Like they just dumped a bunch of his stuff in. I guess they cleared out his locker and just dumped it with trash bags on his doorstep. Not even.
wow.
I guess you would think that you would have him come in and clean out his locker and take what he wanted, but
Hmm.
yeah, that's an unusual.
Maybe he like kicked somebody's dog or something in there.
Yeah, uh,
There's
yeah,
gotta
he
be
was.
more to that.
Yeah, I don't know, but that was what I read today. So um, I hope the Chiefs do not do that with their free agents or their people that they release. They don't just
Right.
dump a bunch of their crap on the doorstep. But that's
Yeah.
going on in Tennessee. Um, I don't know what else is going on in the NFL, but we might have an idea next week. We'll also have a little bit of a clearer picture on how spring training is developing, the run up to the World Baseball Classic. I guess we also have March Madness on the horizon. Maybe
Uh,
Warner Truck Power Hour can do a bit of a March Madness betting preview.
I think we're gonna need to, yeah.
And I don't know if we want to do anything before that. I don't know if we want to do anything like in the conference championship tournaments or anything like that. But maybe we could think about that for next week.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. On that note, should we wrap things up this week?
I think so.
We will, even the baseball season started. We spent a vast majority of our hour talking about the National Football League, which is not going to pick up again for I think another 7 months. We have to wait At
Oh
least
no, there is one thing. The combine is coming up.
6 months. Oh, the combine. Yes, the combine in
So
Indianapolis. I think it's starting right now. But yeah, I guess we already got a little bit of news that Bryce Young is short, and I don't know what else. I think there are teams trying to strike gold as quarterback. Bryce Young had been compared to I guess a pocket Mahomes, uh, but kind of like Kyler
not in
Murray was
that
too.
not in that he can throw like Mahomes from
The
the
pocket,
pocket,
yeah,
but he would fit inside of Mahomes' pocket. Is that what it
yeah,
is?
yeah.
That's
I
great.
my favorite mentioning pocket that always reminds me of um, a weightlifter. I don't know if you ever remember this weightlifter known as the Pocket Hercules.
No. Who's that?
I was just looking him up. It's Naim Suleimanoglu. He was born in Bulgaria but became a Turkish weightlifter. He was born to an ethnic Turkish family in Bulgaria. Bulgaria,
Okay.
right next to Turkey, in what the ancient world would call Thrace, is where he was from. Also, Spartacus famously is from Thrace before he was. So he was also. But yeah, he was a 7-time world weightlifting champion, 3-time Olympic gold medalist, who set um, 46 world records. And how tall was the Pocket Hercules? I'll give you his weight. He weighed 137 pounds.
Oh,
Pocket Hercules.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You think of weightlifters being like very heavy, like
Well, that's the regular
300-ish
Hercules. This is
pounds.
the Pocket Hercules.
Yeah, but only one. I thought it was just going to be like the same weight, but only like 5'5" or something. So 137 in a weight power lifter, 5'2".
4 inches off. He was 4'10",
Jeez.
and he died unfortunately
Wow.
five about a little over 5 years ago. His
Hmm.
father was a miner. He only stood 5 feet tall. His mother was 4'7". Um, he was
Minor spelled which
M-I-N-E.
way?
I'm not sure what kind of miner, but he was living in Bulgaria in the 80s. But Bulgaria, of course, boycotted the 1984 Olympics along with the Soviet Union. So he was a favorite to win the gold medal in 1984, but Bulgaria boycotted. Um, and he ended up winning instead for his first gold medal in 1988 at the Seoul Olympics. He also won the gold medal in the Barcelona Olympics, and then he won the gold medal in the 1996 Atlanta Olympics. He
Wow.
competed in the anywhere from the 56 kilogram weight class to the 64 kilogram weight class over his the course of his career. 62 kilograms was 137, kind of in the middle. So like um, the Turks actually paid $1.25 million to the Bulgarian government to allow him to return to Turkey to weightlift for Turkey. Um,
Wow.
yeah, he won. Yeah, um, he is the first and only weightlifter to have snatched 2.5 times his body weight. You know, the snatch is the fast lift, and the clean and jerk is the second
Right.
one. So
Straight to the top. Yeah.
he he was the second weightlifter ever to clean and jerk 3 times his body weight. He's the only weightlifter to date to clean and jerk 10 kilos more than triple his body weight. According to he set 46 world records. Um, the best pound for pound weightlifter of all time, one of the greatest weightlifters ever, a national hero in Turkey. He died from cirrhosis. He had suffered from liver failure. Uh,
Hmm.
and Oh, he had a liver transplant, but then he had surgery for a hemorrhage in his brain and died from that perhaps. But I would guess probably like a lot of that strain and stuff maybe could lead to
Jeez.
brain hemorrhages or something. But um, he so he yeah he could The snatch was uh, 152.5 kilograms. So that's uh, over his head. So that would be, so he weighed about 135 pounds or so. So um,
Yeah,
152 kilograms is 300,
it's like
probably like
330
360, I would take three times,
30.
so it's like
Yeah.
390 or something. It would be like almost
Yeah.
400. Like that's just insane. Uh,
Wow.
um,
Wow.
do you know that there's such thing called the Sinclair coefficient that measures uh, different weight classes and in weightlifting and how they would compare to each other. I'm
Hmm.
trying to find out more about the Sinclair coefficient. Um, the Wilks coefficient is also a similar one, but in Sinclair points, um, uh, he had 504, which I guess is the best ever. I don't know how that's complicated. He's the best pound for pound weightlifter ever.
Wow.
Do you think the Pocket Mahomes can replicate the Pocket Hercules?
I'm gonna say probably not. What do you think?
Yeah, not either. But I was surprised that the Pocket Mahomes is more than a foot taller than the Pocket Hercules.
Right.
But I would guess the Pocket Hercules could easily lift the Pocket Mahomes over his head.
Sure.
And I
Oh,
don't
for
know if the
sure.
Pocket Mahomes could lift the Pocket Hercules over his head, even if they were both willing. And
Yes. Yes. Unlikely.
137 pounds isn't that heavy, I guess. But like, yeah, for like a NFL prospect, it's still
Right.
pretty heavy. Yeah. Uh, yeah, his biggest rival in the 96 Olympics was a Greek named Valerios Leonidas, who um, was, yeah, so he got the silver medal, Leonidas, and Suleimanoglu, aka Pocket Hercules, won his third gold medal and promptly retired after that. So,
Wow.
um, that's our. This guy was Leonidas was 5'5.5", so he was much taller than our Pocket Hercules.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I didn't expect our Pocket Hercules segue, but I think it was a fitting send off to an otherwise uh, solid um, uh, week of the Warning Track Power Hour. But I think that really he really snatched it and
Yes.
cleaned and jerked it all the way uh, above our heads to the finish. Sounds a little dirty. As the snap, both of them sound a little dirty. Uh,
Great.
I wonder if they sound so suggestive in other languages. Like
Oh,
if you could translate what that would be in Spanish or Turkish or something else, maybe.
yeah. But then you'd have to talk to a Spanish person to find out if those same terms are,
I could ask. Well, I
yeah.
could ask MJ for Spanish, but I don't think she knows weightlifting well enough to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could use like Google Translate to at least get the words translated.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anyway, that seems like
Um,
a future Warning Track Power Hour edition
yes,
dedicated to the
only
suggestive
to
terms.
only to uh, yeah, only to weightlifting and terms. I I I did snatch weightlifting, and they just call it levantar pesas, but that's just lifting weights. That doesn't have a. That's not a particular term. I don't think so. Um,
Nah.
I have an arranque. I have that question. I have that possibility. Could be arranque, but I'll ask later. I won't look up clean and jerk right now, but I will finally sign us out of the Wayne Trek Power Hour. This has been another exciting, fun-filled, informative hour plus of our week and your week too, I hope. As always, I am Dr. Michael Werman. He is Dr. Andrew Scaff. We are the Warning Trek Power Hour. Please like and or subscribe to our multitude of delivery vehicles, be they AV or A. Uh, and until then, we bid you good day.